Hey yo, it's time to relax and get loose.
Let's go.
Relax and get loose while I put you up on game. The Figure Booth with Josh and Nate. This that podcast for those in the know. Batman vs Iron Man. How would it go? We talking one of a kind. Collectibles. Mezco toys are respectable. It's unacceptable if it's not in the packaging. Nate don't take pics if you ain't rapping it. Nate's dirty tricks are always happening. But damn it, man. Don't you be stressing, round here we believe in plastic confessions. We trying to figure out the figures that's gonna stand the test of time. That G.I. Joe handmade hit me in the spine. There's perfection in the way that these toys are made. But I also wanna know, do I pick Wade or Slade? So this is where I come to kick it with the guys. The Figure Booth, like, comment, and subscribe.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back. You've made it to another episode of the Figure Booth. I'm your host, Prime to the First, and I'm joined by my friend, co-host, FigureFan_Nate.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us again for a new episode 97. We're almost there.
Getting close.
We're slowly inching closer to 100. Yeah, for this week, we're calling it LFG. Let's effing go. I won't say it.
Yeah.
Even though we do cuss on this, right? It's fine.
Yeah, we'll give it some time.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll not cuss so much. But yeah, wanted to get another episode together. Kind of have like a menagerie of different topics, just more of catching up with each other, catching up with you guys as an audience, some things that maybe we can talk about. Where are you going to start, Brian? What are you thinking?
It's been a good minute, and I don't know if you've noticed or if you've been watching and keeping tabs on us, but like my background keeps changing. That's been overwhelming at times task of like, how do you go about organizing your space? And eventually when it grows to be like your official man cave, like I think at any given time, like whether it's one shelf or a room or a whole house, like we give it the title, it's my man cave or my man shelf or my nerd cave, whatever, fill in the blank, right? And I think throughout the podcast, I've had like a couple of shelves dedicated. I had a couple of detops dedicated to my collection, but it's slowly transitioned to like this whole entire room. Now it's like, I don't know for you guys, but my wife was like to the point where she's like, you know what, just take over the room, make it your official nerd room, and do it as you please. And your mind kind of is like explodes. It goes wild, and you have all these crazy ideas, and you want to throw everything up on the wall, and then also like that's where my mind went. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna put up a ton of shelves, order all the stuff, start throwing up the figures. So I did a handful of the shelves. I didn't put up all the shelves because then after a while I take a step back and I'm like, it's gonna be a lot of shelves. It's gonna be a lot of figures. I live in California, so it's like one good earthquake and then it all comes tumbling down. So I was like, okay, maybe not too many shelves because that's a lot of figures. And then one tumbles, like I had
all fall down.
And I've already had to replace a few figures. Like I was setting up my detops back there, and my RoboCop fell, and he like landed right on his hand, snapped at the wrist. It was such a pain in the what.
Okay.
And I replaced them, but still I'm like, that's always a concern of like when things get tipped over or things are out of my control. So figuring out the layout I think is always challenging. Like I don't know about you, but how do you go about deciding what are you gonna like? Do you create a scene? Do you just throw a bunch of figures? Do you do lines? Like you can kind of see what I've got going on back here. I got all my Mayfix, and then it started out. I was just pulling out all the Mayfix. I was like, oh, I'm gonna do each shelf, and it's gonna be like its own line. Like you guys can see up here, the Super 7, and that's all my Super 7 figures. And I threw out a bunch of Mayfix, and I started realizing they were all Batman. Like the first 5 I threw out there were all Batman, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then the Supes, and I'm like, okay, so this kind of turned into like a DC, but it's all Mayfix, with the exception of like Nightmare. I have 2 Mezco Nightmare Batmans, like a custom that I kit bashed, and then the official Nightmare Batman. But aside from that, it's all like Bats and Supes, and then that kind of triggered like the Gomez shelf, and I just put all my Gomez here. So how do
No,
you
I
go
think,
about like decorating your shelves?
well, kind of taking apart some of what you said, I think it's, first of all, really important that you do have some kind of space to appreciate your collection.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to have somewhere where you can enjoy the figures, display them. For me, my office is sort of where that happens. I also work here, so that's kind of a fine balance too. Like I got to make sure it doesn't take over. But
Hmm.
seeing how you have upgraded your display, I haven't really touched my display in quite a while. For anybody that's been watching for a while, my setup has sort of been the same for a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of due for. I've been looking at new ways I can get like a different kind of. Because this is like a cheap IKEA bookshelf. I could use
Yeah.
something that's a little bit different, or put some shelves, move these pictures
Hmm.
around. But I also do toy photography in here as well. So for me, the convenience is kind of having the figures that I maybe use a lot readily available so that I can get access to them. But
Hmm.
I don't focus as much on display, which I probably should do that a little bit more just so I can appreciate it. Because I know we hear a lot of people say, if I can't display it, I'm going to get rid of it, which isn't always the
Guilty.
case. Like
Yeah.
I have stuff that I'm definitely not displaying, but I wish I
Right.
could display everything because then it feels like it's not really being utilized. Um, but I think it's just really important for anybody listening to have some kind of space. It doesn't have to be customs by Machu style with Matt, who is,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
his space
immaculate.
is just like, that's like goals right there. I wish I
Hmm.
could have something that looks as nice as his. But definitely have something to where you can enjoy your figures. I do switch up my shelves frequently, just to kind of get stuff around. I've kind of switched this one up a bit. I've got my Mythic Legions and my Cosmics here, right there. This one behind me hasn't changed in a while, but I do kind of swap out the figures. So I try to
Yeah.
switch it up, but I don't have a whole lot of stuff of room to display in here. So I really need to start adding shelves behind me, kind of like you have. I really like
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
how that looks. I don't know exactly what question you asked me, but kind of getting around to.
No, yeah, you answered it. Yeah.
But I think that's part
Yeah.
of like how you can keep your collections from managed is having a
Yep.
way to display it. And if you're not
Yep.
displaying it, do I really need it? Is it just
Yeah.
because I don't have the space? Can I maybe free up space or switch out what I've got just so everything's kind of getting some airtime?
Yep.
Because
For
if
sure.
there's something that I haven't touched in a while, do I really want it, or can I just let it
Yeah.
go?
And that to that point, it did help kind of give me like a good sense of pulse check. And we've talked about this several times, like that constant pulse check on your collection. How do you go about it? But I think displaying it and changing your displays, regardless of how much space you have, it's a good indication to like, oh, maybe it's time for me to let go of
Yeah.
some of the figures. Like lately, I've been selling a ton, but really doing this exercise and putting up all these shelves and even that just tag like, okay, what am I going to put out? Like at first, I just felt like I just need to throw all the figures that I have in those photo cases. I just need to get them out of the photo cases and throw them up on the shelves and then see how that looks and then go from there. And that kind of did help. And then that again, you go through like these roller coasters of emotions because then I felt incredibly overwhelmed because I was like, oh my god, there's so much. I have so much figures, so much stuff. It got to the point where I didn't even know what I had and what I didn't have, and I was finding like doubles of stuff, and it got to the point where I'm like, okay, if I have doubles, and one's opened, the other one is most likely I bought it because either I wanted to trade it or I'm going to sell it now, and now it's made its way to like the sell pile. And then there was like a handful, like I it goes. There's like one more shelf up there above the Super Seven, and it has some of the Sentinel Spider Verse figures and some of my X Men Mayfix, and and then my Storm collectibles. And then in that, I found I still had like 4 or 5 Storm collectibles that they were completely sealed, and they were mostly Mortal
Okay.
Kombat and like Tekken 7 and Darkstalkers. I'm like, I haven't even opened them, and I've had them for a very long time, so I'm just gonna sell them now. So those made it to the sell pile. But if it would not been for me, taking them out, like I finally unboxed my E Honda, and I was like, this guy's such a killer figure, and I've had him for way over a year or two. Um, and in front of me, you guys can't see, but I have the same amount of shelves. It's like a giant U that I sit in, and there's about 4 shelves, and I have the rest of all my Mescos in front of me. So now I get to actually see them, and I think that's super refreshing because then I'm like, okay, I have those. And then as the shelves go up, I started inputting some of my different figures. Like I got some of those Metal Slug figures. I got some of the third-party figures. I got some of my latest that I've gotten from like either I have a Diamond Select Apocalypse up there, um, and then some GI Joes because I've been going hard on the GI Joes. But then I was like, that's weird because normally you would have thought all my legends that I've been putting up, which they're back here in these detops. And again, it kind of gives you a sense of like, okay, how do I choose to display them? It makes it a whole lot easier, and they're at an arm's reach. So I'm finding myself enjoying them a little bit better. And it made it also easier to create like a sale pile because there were some figures where I'm like,
Right.
sorry, buddy, you're not gonna make the cut. You're not making the roster. So I would throw them in the sale pile. And again, that helps because you eventually you gotta like trim the fat, and it's either like a figure that's been outdated, or I've gotten a different version, or like I had Mayfex Miles and then the Sentinel Miles, and I was like, I don't need both. I'll just sell the Mayfex because I prefer the Sentinel. So I sold I sold my Mayfex Miles. There's a couple of things like that. Yeah.
It's a great way to like talk about. We've talked about this in the past, like upgrading, leveling up. Like you've got to appreciate the new stuff and also recognize when maybe things just aren't as desired anymore. Like me and Prime, we talk about this a lot, and I'm sure you guys get tired of it, but selling, I think, is just as important as acquiring. Maybe some people don't sell quite as much, but if you're going through stuff and there's a part of you that doesn't really want it, it's a good excuse, like Prime's talking about, when you're resetting up your display or saying, it's been a while, let me go through and just see do I want to display all this stuff? Is there anything here that I could maybe get rid of? And I'm not saying, sell your entire collection, but if you're not like kind of thinking about what are ways that I can make this manageable for the future, and that's a good way to do it, maybe try it out. Like, I haven't touched my display in a while. Let me see if there's anything here that I can maybe get rid of, and then display some of the new stuff. Because you hear it all the time. There's guys that have piles of figures that they haven't even opened yet. And Prime found a few. I found one recently in my box, that was like, wow, I don't know why I didn't open this, but I really like the figure. So that to me is like a red flag. Like, okay, I've got a little bit of a issue going on where I'm pulling in too much and not appreciating it. So having a display, having somewhere to put it is good. And then also thinking about like how Prime's been doing, how can I level up my display? How can I do like a little upgrade here? Because it will let me appreciate things a bit more. But on the other side, it also maybe overwhelms you a bit. Like as you're putting stuff up, you're like, man, I thought I had more space.
Yeah, no. Oh, that's the first thing that went out the window. I was like, wait, there's 8, 9, there's like 10 shelves up here. I'm like, that's more than plenty. And they got filled up like that. And I'm like, okay, I still had like this pile of 2 boxes of pile loot that just came in. And I was like, fuck, I need to stop buying stuff and figure out what am I going to put on my shelves. My detops got filled up pretty quickly. And then you take a step back and you look at it and you're like, all right, half of these need to go because they're outdated figures, or I don't even like the way they're looking, or whatever the theme is, it did make it challenging, but it was also super fun to really, again, I went through this crazy unboxing and I opened up a bunch of Joes that I had. That crazy pile that I picked up a couple of episodes ago, opened all those up. It was like I was like a kid on Christmas because I had so many figures to open up. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I need to make room for them because I want to display them. Because now, like some of these new figures, like I got this Angel and it's like he's pinless, and
he's really good looking too.
It's crazy how these updates on whether it's a GI Joe or a Legend, or even some of the Mezco that I have. I'm like, they need to do a new cap, like which they're doing. And we'll talk about cap a little bit later. But the cable, like I have the cable in his. And see, that's the fun part. It's like I can just reach and
there
without knocking
everything over.
Knocking everything over. But this cable, I love this outfit. Yeah. Legends is coming out with one. It looks cool. I'm like, but I need to remember. I already have a cable like this. I don't need to get another one. My only gripe is he's so tiny. Like he's a little bit shorter than Scott. That's my only gripe with them.
It's kind of weird too, because the Mezco stuff typically, in my opinion, is bigger. Yeah. But some of their X-Men stuff, and I don't know why this is, maybe the boots are shorter or something, tend to be a little bit smaller.
That cable is the same size as that new Wolverine that came out. and I'm like, what the hell? Why is he so short? If he was to be taller, if I was to be able to find, like, I know sometimes they sell kits where you can, take off the boots and then add like an extension or something, then he would be perfect. Because if he was just a little bit taller, if he was a little bit taller than Scott, then he would have been the perfect Cable. Punisher is another one that they need to update and they need to release, because he's been one of my favorite Mezcos of all time, but he's on such an outdated buck that's like you see him and you're like, it's this bulky, like the shoulders.
Yeah.
The shoulders are bulky. He has a custom head from Drone Customs, because originally I think when they solicited him, he was supposed to come with this, and then they changed it. But they need to redo. Like, this guy's due for a update. But having my Mezcos all out,
Yeah.
I'm like, and at an arm's length where they're not inside of a DTOF, I find myself messing with them more and more, and finding, I had all the Spider-Man, this one from, like, and I'm like, we need a new one from his the latest Avenger movie. Like, they have almost all his suits, Far Away From Home and Homecoming. I'm a bit. I was like looking at them. I'm like, I'm missing another suit. Like, did they not make it? They didn't.
Yeah.
And it gets the wheel spinning,
Right. Yeah, I mean, you see Mezco, like you talked about. We're going to talk about the new cap, but I definitely think a Punisher is on the agenda for Mezco. Even though they've done quite a few Punishers, like I think we've got 4 total Punishers that they've created, but it's been a while since the last one. I think the last one we got was the Netflix Punisher, and that was on the single jointed Joker body. So if you guys got into the Mezco game early and you have some of those older ones, I do think we're going to start seeing some more updates, kind of like they're doing with the Golden Age stuff on the DC. They're kind of doing Silver Age stuff on Marvel. Just new issues of that. So yeah, that's exciting too, because you go through and you start seeing like, man, I've had this figure for so long. Like,
man,
it does seem very outdated compared to the new Mezcos that they're doing nowadays.
Yeah.
It's crazy just how
that's funny you mentioned that.
Up.
It is. You see the progress and stuff, and then you start noticing some of like the defects on, like I had posted a while ago when I first started. My Batman 89 starts splitting, but even like this it's funny you mentioned Netflix Punisher. I have him right here, but the material stained the crap out of his neck and one of his arms. And I'll take off his head. Look at that. He has like black mold.
Oh man.
And he's only been in my DTOF and then on my shelf. That's it. And then he has it on this wrist where it's like he's suffering from like black freezer. It's so weird.
It makes you think, like, what are they using for the? Are they using that rid dye for those?
Yeah, and you can almost see it. Like if you pose him in a certain way, you can see it on his neck.
Yeah, you can see it a little bit. I mean, it looks just a little dirty. Luckily, it's below.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of like a little disappointing when Mezcos aren't cheap. So the fact that you've got issues with the pleather cracking, like that's been a thing. You told us, I think on the last live, that your 89 Batman is starting to split, which is a newer figure. I'm curious, when you got the 89 Batman, did you wipe off any of that powder that it came with? I saw a lot of people doing that. They're wiping it off like a cleaner.
Yeah, no, I think I wanted to, but I never got a chance to do it. I don't think I sprayed him with anything. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it, because some people were using this other stuff that was making them really shiny, but then immediately I started seeing like, oh, it dries it out, it makes it crack even faster, and I was like, whoa, I'm not gonna spray anything on him. I'm just gonna let him be. He still ended up being cracked. It was so funny because again, like this helps because I took out my Destro, and his leg is completely loose. Like one of his legs, I almost thought the socket broke. But then like jumping on Discord stuff, that's like a very common thing with that Destro. Like his left leg or one of his legs is super, super loose. So he poses, he's up on the top shelf, which makes me nervous, but he poses fine. And he can hold his leg, like if you kick it out. But just if I was to have him here and just dangle him, his leg is just like all over the place. You almost would think like the joint's broken. So that was kind of a bummer. And I'm like, you know what? I didn't even know this. So that made me cancel 2 of my pre-orders for Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes. It may not be the same buck, but I was like, I'm not going to double dip in the Joe line if there's the chances of, me ending up with like a loose leg or something, especially when Hasbro is doing such a killer job.
Yeah, and like speaking of toy hacks, as you're going through looking at your figures, there's some that you might want to keep, some that you're like, okay, I don't like this now because I've realized there's an issue. Do you have a way of fixing a loose leg that you're aware of?
I do. There's a couple of tricks. I know there's like this solution that you can add a couple of drops. I think the last person I saw them try is Jace Figs, and I can't remember the name of the solution that they use, but you do a couple of
Mhm.
drops, and it adds a little bit of a resistance on the joint. The other person
Yeah.
is Oak Customs. I think we showed him off on one of the lives. He was adding a different type of solution to make the joints a little bit more stiffer when he was 3D printing things like that. I used to use Pledge floor finisher and just like dip the joints in that, and that would help
Yeah.
stiffen the joints up.
That's what I was
And
gonna say.
without doing like a crazy glue trick, because before I used to always hear like there was a crazy glue trick, but the floor finisher worked for me, especially with some of my older Toy Biz legends. It's definitely a temporary fix, but it worked, and it would help them, keep their pose without them falling off.
Yeah, I was gonna say, mention the Pledge floor finisher is the kind of the one that I hear the most, and then I've heard nail polish as well
Oh yeah,
is
I could
a
see
good
that,
one, like
like a
the
clear
clear
acrylic.
polish. Yeah,
Yeah, unless you want to
this
get
just adds
colorful.
a bit of thickness to it. Yeah, I mean, unless you need to match a color,
Yeah.
I feel like that because even like with some of the, and I should have known because it's a McFarlane, like some of the new animated McFarlanes, especially the Build-A-Figure, is extremely loose in the legs,
Yeah.
which is very disappointing because I just got that like I don't know a couple months ago.
See,
So I've
and
been
with
looking at
those, it's
ways to.
easier, right? With the
Uh-huh,
Mezco, you have to take off their suit. Like if I was trying to
that's
fix
true.
Destro's leg, I would have to unstitch them, and I'm like, I'm not going to
Mm,
go through all that.
that's true. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Deathstroke's an
and
old,
again,
old Mezco.
and that's what makes me weird. I'm like Destro, like I don't know,
Oh, Destro. Sorry,
dealing
I'm
with
thinking
yeah,
Deathstroke.
Destro. Oh yeah, no, Destro. Um, yeah, it's just I think it definitely gives me a red flag because I haven't really faced a whole lot of QC issues when it comes to Mesco, even though they're definitely out there. Like Bishop is another one that's really infamous for his arm breaking. A lot of people were having their thing from the Fantastic Four. His arm was breaking. So things like that, where I'm like, damn, that Fantastic Four, that was a pricey set for the arm to
four
just
hundred
snap
dollars
like
set.
that. I'm like, yeah. So that's the only reason why I didn't pick up the Bishop was because I kept seeing his arm kept breaking.
Hmm. Yeah, talking about
And
toy
he's super
hacks
cheap.
again, like
It's like $60. Yeah.
as you're going through the collection, like looking at stuff, one thing I'd like to do is also realizing like I've got a bunch of extra heads I could use for different figures. Like
Hmm.
Constantine's one of them you can swap around on.
Yeah, he's a fun one.
Did you find any that you can like swap with? Just things that are fun to do as you're going through your display. Like what
Just
could I
like
mess
a
with
random
here?
Gomez head on
Yeah,
a Doom body.
nice. That actually turned out pretty good.
I think I
I
don't.
like that.
I saw the body and I was like, you know what? Let me just Gomez. Let's put Gomez on everything. I had done a Gomez on the Green Lantern body, and I saw this and I was like, you know what? And I think these were super cheap. I think they were at Ross for like $3-4.
Dune Gomez. Plus, you have a lot of like custom heads too, so
Yeah,
you can pop and swap a lot of that stuff. Yeah, your Gomez collection is substantial, man. It's really coming along.
it's getting there. I think I'm only missing Lone Roach.
I was going to ask which
Yep,
ones are you missing? Just Lone Roach.
just Lone Roach.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, if I ever sell mine, you'll be the first to know. He's
and
one that I've
it's like
always kind of like, I don't know if I want to sell him or
I've
not.
almost picked him up, but he's the only one where when he was solicited, I was like, I don't need Gomez. I don't need that Lone Roach. And then all the other ones I picked up, obviously, and then I got to a point where I was like, fuck, I have a slot missing in my Gomez collection. Yeah, I think it's only Lone Roach. Yeah. Yeah.
As far as
And I made a couple of custom. Speaking of custom, I don't. Oh no, he's way back there. I took the old Joker body. I don't want to risk
Yeah,
them
you're
all
like, I'm not
falling.
even gonna try to get him. Nope.
But just when I was putting them up, I forgot about it. But the first Joker that they issued, I
Oh
um
yeah.
I used the what other Gomez? I had a second Gomez for something. I think it was like Agent or Street. It might have been Agent Gomez. And popped off their necks, and then so I turned that Joker one into just a Gomez. And it's so funny because like
Mm.
full circle, Gomez is such a Batman fan. That original Joker, you pull up his pants and he has Batman socks. So it's
Hmm.
like it almost makes sense. And I've taken pictures, and sometimes I get asked, they're like, "When did they release the Gomez in a purple suit?" Because it's the purple Joker suit. So I'm like, that's
That's
always
funny.
cool. I like that one. So the neck
Yeah.
peg fit perfectly onto the Joker body, and so you know how Gomez has that weird neck where it's all like very roachy like. So his head fits
Right.
in perfectly, and I can throw in other Gomez heads.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's a
Yeah, good
fun
way
one.
to use like some older mezcos because like even if I decided to sell some of my like the Jokers, I don't even know if I
Yeah.
have all the pieces together. Like I've
Yep.
swapped that stuff so much, like I don't even know what
Yep.
goes with what. So maybe I'll
Yeah.
just use
Yeah.
it
And
as like a custom figure.
then that's why, because I think I had used his accessories for the deluxe version, because I got the deluxe Joker that came with that crowbar, and he came with the leather coat and all that stuff, and with the hat, he came with much more accessories.
Hmm.
So I picked up that one, and I made that one my official Joker. But even thinking about it now, I'm like, they need to up. I know we're getting that classic Joker on their way, but they need
Yeah.
a modern day Joker.
Yeah, I think a Nicholson Joker would be amazing. I just don't think that's ever going to happen because the
Yeah,
rights for him are just so expensive. If they
crazy.
would have done it, they would have done it by now.
You know what other body is really good is the Diabolic. I made him into a Gomez too. I used one of the
Oh
extra
yeah,
spare heads. Yeah.
yeah. I've got a Diabolic custom as well.
Oh yeah,
From
yeah.
C. Jesum. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yeah. See that body's really good too. Turn into whatever.
yeah. He works for so many things. To your point, and even if you didn't, you didn't have to use the head, obviously, but the body
Yeah.
itself is kind of like the Spider Monkey,
Yep.
Spider-Man. Where it's just
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
that generic blank body. I remember when Diabolics, they were going on sale for like $60 on
Super cheap.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like $55. I saw people
I
grabbing like
should
10, 12 of them.
I should have picked up more. I only have one, but every once in a while I'll see them pop up, and I'm like, man, I should have picked them up when they were cheaper. So I did pick up an extra Spider Monkey. Well, not a Spider, but a Far Away from Home, and I just sprayed them all black.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, they're great. You need more generic stuff like that. Like the Black Skulls are really good for generic mezcos.
Yeah.
I know we're focusing on mezco. I'm sure there's other lines that do this too. But one thing I noticed as well when I start going through my display is, man, I need to dust stuff because
Yeah.
the dust accumulates fast. So I think that's
So
part of it.
what do
Like
you
that's
use?
not a fun thing to do. Sometimes I'll just use like the feather dusters. They don't
Oh,
really
look
work
at you,
that great
fancy.
though.
No, they
So
don't.
that or tape. I'll kind of
Oh,
go through with like tape on my fingers and just sort of like,
dang.
touch it
Look
real
at you.
quick. Because you can just use like regular packing tape and
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of tape it around your finger, obviously with the
You,
sticky side out, and just
you're
kind of
way
like
too
start
patient.
touching it.
I'd be
I
too.
know.
I'd be so rough. I use a old paint, like a brand new
Oh,
paintbrush,
paintbrush is
and
good.
just like
That's a great idea.
be like, let's just let's dust you off.
Fancy.
Let's get you
That
all nice
or
and
like
pretty.
sometimes I'll use like a toothbrush because those are good
Oh,
to get into the little areas like
look at this,
toothbrushes.
huh? What? We should just play a
Yeah,
game. You got a
yeah.
toothbrush around? Boom,
I
toothbrush,
got like a really
paintbrush.
cheap dollar store one. I don't use anything
Oh, this is
fancy, but
from like my dentist. He's like, here. I'm like, perfect.
yeah, the
I
free
need
ones.
something
Yeah.
to does my figures. I need something that does my figures.
Because I
I'm
see
like,
people with doing toy photography, which probably has similar displays as we do, where they might just grab
yeah,
it on the shelf and throw it in
yeah.
front of the camera.
And then
But
that's when you
when
realize all the dust.
you start to see all the little dust spots and little hairs hanging off the figure, you're like, man, that guy could
Yeah.
have just used a really quick dust
Yep.
before you shot him. So that's one thing I do now when I shoot is I dust it off before I put it out because I
Yep.
know that I've had stuff in here that's been sitting for a while. Like this guy, when I just grabbed him off the shelf, I haven't touched him in a while, and he's got a lot of dust on him. He needs to
Yeah.
be cleaned up.
Yeah.
That's just one of the unfortunate things about collecting. And if you're gonna really appreciate your stuff, like, you got to take care of it.
Yeah.
Um, don't let your figures get all dusty and old, because then it looks like you just don't care.
Yeah.
But I'm
No,
still
yeah,
a big
that's
fan
true.
of it.
And like that's that maintenance, it's like with anything. You work your butt off, you buy what you buy, but at the end of the day you want to make sure it looks good.
It's true. I mean, we spend so much time and money on figures that, if you're just going to throw it up and never touch it again, you're not really, keeping the value per se.
So have you been picking up any more of the animated Toddy Mac? I have like a bone to pick with Toddy Mac.
I have, but then, so this is what I'm talking about, the Condiment King.
Uh-huh.
So I got him. He's
Yeah.
a very niche character.
Yeah.
I think he only appears in one episode, but his legs are just, like
Oh.
really
Oh
loose,
yeah.
just all over the place. And the worst part is he's got this pack on,
Uh-huh.
which is heavy.
He falls
So
back.
his legs aren't very sturdy. You can see this one's just kind of
Yeah,
flopping
yeah.
here. So yeah, he's really hard to stand. Like, I want to shoot him, but unless he's just standing straight up, I can't do much with him because his legs are terrible. So that actually got me. I'm like, I kind of want to return some of the ones I just got, because I'm a little disappointed.
Yep. I finally opened up this guy, Red Tornado. I love the classic DC's team. I don't know why, but since I was a kid, I was a huge fan of Red Tornado. But I'm starting to notice that his legs, or at least this one leg, it's already like, again, it's like in a pre-pose where it looks funny.
Oh
He looks
man,
almost like he's bone-legged.
yeah,
Like
it looks a
this,
little bent.
it's a little
Yep,
bent, but then when I flip him around, I'm like, okay, there's nothing going on with the joint. I'm like, it's just like, is he bone-legged? Like, what's
that's
going on?
weird.
You see how
Did
his
he come
knee,
in the
like
package all funky?
yeah, he did. He came in the package all funky, which like he came with this tornado effect, and I'm like, okay, it's cool, but he's so big, and I'm like, he
Oh
barely
yeah,
fits in there,
yeah,
and I'm like, that's supposed to be, I don't know, I have, I don't get like the fanatic followship that he has, because at the end
yeah.
of the day, like, how you gonna compare a figure like this? Looks great, looks killer. I'm not saying, I mean, but when it comes to articulation, like this is like really choppy compared to like this. It's
Yes,
super smooth, like,
yeah.
and I'm like, the joints are really ugly. I can see the pins. I don't know. I'm like, the big diaper really bugs me with certain figures. This one, it's not that noticeable, but there's other like
I
Batman
was
and
gonna say, with
Superman
him, it
figures.
actually doesn't look too bad. But yeah,
No, but
there's
once you start
some, like,
messing with them and you get them in certain poses, I'm like,
mhm.
oh, it's that diaper effect. Like his he articulates really well in the waist, but then you get him in certain poses and that diaper doesn't go anywhere.
Mm-mm.
That's what starts,
And it
and
starts
I'm
to
like,
look weird because it starts to bend, and
yep.
like
And
kind
I'm
of
like, you know
compress
what? I'm
together.
so glad I only paid $9 for him, because I would be pissed picking these guys up at $20 or full retail. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for real.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's the
His,
thing,
his
the
legs are
animated
just so
stuff's hard
weird.
to find. So like, I have been searching for that at close to retail, and I'm like, I'm really mad with myself that I decided to even get him now because I'm disappointed.
Yeah, he has like this, like he's like shifting his weight out, like he has like attitude or
Yeah,
something. That's what I see his legs, and I'm like, why is he like with this? Like, I just picture him with his hand on his hip, like, hey, you didn't call me
yeah,
last night. Like, what the hell? Like,
got a little bit of
he has like
attitude
the,
going on.
yeah.
Like,
It's like, what'd you
giving
get
you
now?
chicken head.
What did you buy?
Yeah, giving you chicken head.
And I'm like, ah, freaking Tutty Mac. I see so many people like going crazy over Tutty Mac, and I'm like, I don't get it. I
Well, we
don't
were just looking
understand.
at that on our last live. A lot of the new stuff has been sold out, and I just don't get it either. I'm like, who's jumping on and buying so much of this? Is it
No, there's a lot.
retailers,
No, it's just his fellowship.
individual collectors? It's just crazy. That set
It
of like
is. I don't get
Spawn
it.
and Toddy Mac, I don't really have any desire for that, but I've seen a lot of people like
No.
going crazy for that set.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's to me, it's crazy when you have, and again, not just because it's Hasbro, but like Joe's, you got Mayfix, you got so many other, even third party stuff. You have so many figures out there, and
Yeah,
Toddy Mac's getting up there. Like they're $30 for some of their platinum collector edition. The scale is so. I bought some of these bikes. They're so big. The scale, like, okay, so here's, and then here's Angel. Like, look at the size of the. And Angel's pretty big, but I'm like, that bike is way too big for a 112 scale
Yeah,
figure.
that is
I try to use it. I wanted to use it for some of my pink skulls, but they look like little kids next to the bikes. Way too big.
Yeah,
The
the
bike's
only
way too
ones
big.
that have worked for me from McFarlane are the ones that come from their smaller line. Oops.
The ones that are intended for 5-inch, and he's like,
Exactly.
these are 6-inch. Yeah. See, that looks good. But then again, so now that I know that Toddy Mac has no idea about scale, like I'll just buy his intended for. Yeah, that looks good. This looks like it's 1/10 scale. I have a 1/10 bike, and this is just as big as the 1/10 bike.
Yeah, the bigger ones, like I had one of the other bikes, I think it was from Gotham. No, I can't remember which one. But it was huge. It was way too big.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the 89 Batmobile is a bit better in scale, but it's also pretty large.
Yeah.
You know, because a 7-inch figure fits in there with a little bit of extra space, which is good because you can put a Mezco in there, but then it feels like the Mezco is a little small in that thing.
Yeah, and that's another big thing. I have the Batmobile up here, right next to the bat symbol, bat signal.
Nice.
Then I got Bumblebee, Soups, RoboCop.
Yeah, Ed 209 up there as well.
Yeah, Ed 209.
Oh hell yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's cool, man. Yeah, it's coming along really good.
A lot of work in progress, but it's coming along. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say maybe the last thing before we move on to pre-orders is one thing that rearranging your collection can sometimes help you manage some of the pre-orders that you've got out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I got a lot of stuff. Do I need to cancel any pre-orders? Or like you were talking about, I'm going to cancel some of these Joes because I don't need more, or I've realized that some of these are a bit disappointing, you know, so I feel like it's also kind of like a reality check in a way. Like, man, I've got a lot. And when I look at my pre-orders, there's a lot of pre-orders too. So maybe I should.
Yeah, so I don't get too mad when Target cancels my pre-orders. I was a little pissed that first day, and I told you, but then after a while, I was like, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully they end up at Ross.
Some of the Tiger Force, I think ATVs, right?
Yeah, the ATVs.
On pre-order, yeah. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. You know, this is really kind of like a display-focused episode, just really focusing on making sure that you have some kind of display. Do you have a man cave? Do you have even like the smallest bit of space where you can appreciate what you have? Because if you don't, you know, you need something. And I know it can be a fight with your significant other sometimes, like, hey, you know, we don't have the space for that. You've got too much already. But like, hey, I've got to appreciate this. This isn't going away. You know, it's not like I'm just going to stop collecting because you have a problem with it. We need to work this out. Need to come some kind of compromise.
Yeah.
So I just think that's really important, is to have some kind of display that you are not only setting up and not forgetting about it, but also revisiting and updating it as time goes on. A lot like Prime's been doing. Because if you've been joining us the last 3 or 4 episodes, you've been seeing that Prime's slowly kind of been progressing and changing its display. And there's some good. I know he's still working on it, but it looks awesome. It's really come a long way. Yeah, so as you guys are hitting the like button, because please make sure to do that. It's a small gesture that goes a long way with me and Prime. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys think about your displays. What are things that you're struggling with? Maybe what are some tips and tricks that you have for figures when you are pulling them out? Any hacks, that kind of stuff. A lot of pre-orders, so let's get started.
Oof.
Lots
Make
and
clear
lots.
shelf.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm going to need extra space for all this stuff. I think the first one, which we'll talk about, we've already talked about a few different times, is the Captain America Silver Age Edition from Mezco. I think one of the first Marvel figures they ever did was the Captain America. And they did, I think, 2 or 3 caps. They did like one in the tin. They did like a very classic looking one with the longer pants. And then they did like a Steve Rogers.
Commander Rogers? Yeah.
But we haven't seen a new cap in a really long time. So this was a bit surprising. Now there's the great short debate of 2024. Some people hate the shorts. Some people love the shorts. That cap that Prime is holding is, I think, my personal favorite cap. I think that was the SDCC one that came out.
Yeah.
He's the most classic looking in my opinion.
Yep.
And I feel like this one is sort of a throwback to that in a way.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to kind of revisit that idea of the classic cap with the tight skin tight pants and the comic accurate shorts, even though in my opinion I'm not a big fan of the shorts. What do you think? Do you like the shorts? Do you not like the shorts?
I don't like the shorts, but I didn't notice them at first. So hopefully it plays out like that in figure form too, because I didn't notice them until people start calling them out, and I was like, oh man, he has shorts. I'm like, okay, well, I didn't notice them, so that's kind of a pro. And hopefully they're not that noticeable. And then as people start sharing like, images, and it's like, oh, that's how he was. And I'm like, oh damn, I guess back in the 60s they liked wearing shorts and then pants under their shorts. Like, who's that with the short shorts?
Got some pants, right? Because wow.
It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that skit that Jimmy Fallon does with the tight pants. It's like he's walking around singing that song with his tight pants.
Yeah.
Tight pants now. Yeah. And I'm like, it's so, yeah, I'm not crazy about the shorts. I just hope it translates well and it's not as noticeable. Like, I don't want them to be looking like trunks, like on Wolverine or some of these other figures that we've gotten. But if the color is just like almost seamless where you don't really notice them, then I'm okay with it. Because again, I really would love to have a classic cap, and we need an updated version. Like, I hope they revisit and do like these classic colors that like the SDCC one, or even like a modern day cap, but without the shorts. Just like do your own take on it, a tactical Captain America. But that's so funny because I put up one of the other cap, the regular version cap, up for sale. Been trying to sell him off, and then I totally, because I was like, man, I think we're about to get a new cap, right? And when this went up, like it was the same time I sold my other cap, so I'm excited for it.
Sell it before it went up, or was it like?
I did sell them. Well, I did put them up for sale, but I still have them. And now that with the whole the shorts controversy, I'm like, well, should I just keep them or should I just still get rid of them? It's on that older Bucks. That's why I just want to freshen up the Mezco stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of hard sometimes once they go live to get rid of the older stuff.
Yeah.
I noticed that with gosh, what was the figure that when it got released? I can't remember what it
Wolverine?
was, but it was like Wolverine. Thank you. That's what it was.
Wolverine.
Yeah, when they released the new one, I had a hell of a time getting rid of the older one because
that one was a hot commodity. You know how everybody wanted that Tiger's Force. Tiger's Stripe. Yeah.
Yeah, that one was going for a lot before the new one came out.
Right.
And then once the new one came out, the value dropped.
It's like a rock. You can't even pay people to buy it now.
No. One thing I noticed through these photos is it looks like these are maybe like Ultrons or the bots, or maybe like some kind of Hydra bot or something. They show it in two different photos, and a lot of the times they do this and it never becomes a figure. But it would be kind of cool to get some kind of generic. You can see his face a little bit here.
Yeah.
Some kind of generic bad guy for, kind of like the Black Skulls, but Marvel specific.
Yeah.
That would be cool. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories, 3 different head sculpts, at least 20 different hands.
Yeah.
And
I thought originally in the promo they showed off like a screaming face, and now it looks like they just gave him 2 stoic and like a grin.
Yeah. And I think, the 2 stoic, which is the mask to unmask, and then the grin, which I wish there was like a screen, because the grins don't always translate well, especially with Mezcos. The teeth always come out like a little weird. So I hope that's not the case here, but Mad Bomb, a loose mask, back straps, the shield, obviously. And then they've been including a lot of effects for figures recently.
Yeah.
Like Turtles came with a ton of effects. I love that. Do more of that, please.
And I've been seeing a lot of people picking this up and then pre-ordering the Duke from G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good swap.
Because they're like, oh, that head he could be like a Steve Rogers. Then you have your Steve Rogers, then you have your Captain America, and I'm like, you know what, that sells it. I'm like, there I go, back to because that Duke, that looks really good.
Yeah.
And he has that yelling face. So.
Yeah, so this still up for pre-order. This is a non-exclusive, so this will be easy to get pretty much
good
anywhere.
price.
$95. Yeah, he doesn't come with a ton, but he's also not an expensive Mezco. Um,
Yeah.
Cheaper than some of the Gomez we see, which are usually at 112. But let us know when you guys are watching this. Are you shorts or no shorts? I want to hear from you. There's a large debate going on. I keep seeing memes about it, people talking about it. Some people are really pissed that even anybody's even mentioning it, but I think it begs to be talked about. This won't be the only cap that we see. We're definitely going to see more versions of this cap. There's
That's
another
interesting.
Mezco that went up recently, not being talked about probably as much.
That's
The
even
Miles
cheaper,
Morales.
85.
Yeah, 85. I haven't seen a Mezco at $85 in a long time. Oh,
Yeah.
something to
It's
be that.
Crimson Dynamo. He keeps falling.
Oh, well, he is large.
Yeah.
He's cool though. So yeah, Spider-Man
Miles.
Across the Spider-Verse, Miles. The unmasked head is.
I think they're a little too
is
late
not.
to the game. No.
I to your point, Sentinel's done an amazing job
Yeah.
with Miles, and also SHF has done a pretty good job. Mafex. I mean, we've had Miles figures available for
Even
multiple years.
Legends.
Yeah, Legends, exactly. I don't like the unmasked head. I think it looks a little funky. He looks like a deer in the headlights to me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this body is super articulated. It looks like it is. I'm just not seeing a whole lot of ab crunch in these photos.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a big fan of Mezco Spider-Man figures, just in general.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any Mezco Spider-Man. I know you've had a couple in the past. I don't think you picked up any of the new ones.
No, I haven't. Just because I don't like how it bunches up so much, like especially that new one, it bunches up like with the Toby, Spidey, Toby.
Yeah, Tobey Maguire or Tom Holland.
Yeah, no, not what Tom Holland, the Tom Holland Spider, the Tom Holland Spider-Man. The suits don't bunch up that much because it's a slimmer figure. It's the Doc Nocturno figure, body, right?
Right.
So the body suits don't bunch up. But even on that classic Mezco suit, the first Spidey, like this, you can get him some really good poses, and the suit is really form-fitting. That new Spidey, as classic as it is in Golden Age and whatnot, people have done some great shots. I've seen a lot of people do a lot of mods just to get it to look really, really good. And at the end of the day, the suit still bunches up. And to me, that bugs me. Like if I see like the suit bunch up on around his like ab crunch area or his legs when he's in his Spidey pose, that totally kills the. I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It looks like you're at someone's birthday party and some guy dressed up in a Spidey suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like with plastic, you get a lot more range, you get a lot more articulation, movement. Not knocking anybody that likes this Miles Morales. Maybe this is for you. It's just not really for me in Prime, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Forehead sculpts, 10 interchangeable hands. You get a comic book, spider sense effects, which this to me does look a little cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. A bunch of squigglies on a white plate.
Yeah.
I sound like I'm being very negative against this figure, and then the post wires, which we've seen in other Spideys. $85, still available. We're going to keep going. Prime, I'm sure, will join us back in a second. I'm not really a big 1/6 collector, but I do like these Mondo Batman figures. These things are really cool. This Bane, even though it'd be a weird entry for me to get into the figures with Bane here, I think it looks great. I like the look of these figures. Sorry, 1 second. I just think they are very accurate to the comic. The exclusive obviously comes with some really cool stuff like the unmasked head, the regular Bane face, the mask that it comes with. I don't think I'm going to be picking this up at all, but I do like these Mondos. And if I was going to get into 1/6, I'd probably start here. I mean, it's a 13-inch figure. It's huge, so it is rather large. And if it's not for you, then definitely understand that. But I definitely wanted to talk about it on the show just because it just looks so good in my opinion. Like I'm not going to pick it up, but I do like the way it looks. It's pretty cool. Let's see here. Staying on the Spideys, there is a Mofex version of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is the Tobey Maguire version. Cool looking figure. Again, it's like I don't know if I need another Spider-Man, but I think there's a lot of people that have been waiting for the Tobey. So the Tobey is coming out from Mofex or Metacom, whatever you want to call it. Does look pretty great. And it comes with the unmasked Tobey head, which I can't remember the last time we got a figure that was unmasked Tobey head like that. So I do like the way this looks. I don't know if I'm going to pre-order it because I do have quite a bit of Spider-Man already, even though it would be cool to have a Tobey version. But yeah, I mean, this is out there if you guys are interested. Looks like it's still up on HLJ. It's probably not going to sell it anytime soon. These typically, I mean, Mofex do sell after they release, but I think for the most part, this should stay available for a while. It looks like it comes with the kind of the ring effect from his appearance in No Way Home when he came through the portal. Like I said, unmasked head. We've got, what is that? The Doc Ock? No. This is the weapon that they use in the movie. I think it's like when they're trying to cure one of the villains. Maybe this is Electro or something. That accessory was just kind of random, but he does come with it. Bunch of Spidey effects, unmasked head, or unmasked headpiece, I should say, and then the Tobey heads, which is cool. Okay, moving on to the next one. We've got, Prime kind of mentioned this a bit earlier, but there is the Marvel Legends series Cable, which is now sold out on Pulse. I think the only thing I'm a little surprised about, I guess, with this one is that they've been doing all these X-Men 97 figures.
Yeah.
And I expected Cable was going to kind of follow that theme or that style, but he is more of like a classic looking Cable, which I'm not knocking. I think he looks great. I'm just kind of surprised it didn't follow the same theme because he's been in the
Yeah, you think that he might, because so far they've only done X-Men 97 just wave 1 and 2, right? You think they might do a wave 3 and he might be in there?
Yeah, that's a good point. Probably.
Yeah.
I do like how he has that Spidey torso. At least that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, it's like that diaphragm.
Mm-hmm. Which I was saying, I opened up an old cap recently. That what is it, 20th anniversary cap? He's got the Spidey diaphragm joint, which really surprised me. I'm like, oh wow, I did not know.
Yeah, he's really good.
I wish more figures came with that because it really does make a big difference. Actually, you know what? Now I'm looking at it, he might not have it because from this side you can see.
Oh, that looks
lines.
Yeah, that looks like an ab crunch.
Yeah, it looks a little different. Because from here, from the other photos, it does look like it's there.
Yeah, see, that looks more like it's a diaphragm.
I think it's because the line is hidden right there.
Oh, tricky. I'm not too crazy about from the knee below. It's like it looks very tactical, and he's got these knee pads, and it's just like, I don't know, these smooth boots. They could have done like chunky boots or something.
He looks top heavy, like he's very broad, and then he's got this tiny little waist. And then his legs kind of like look smaller.
Yeah, it's like he's wearing like a leotard or something. It's like he doesn't have any boots on.
Yeah, and just this area. I know I'm pointing at a very weird area. But this area in general is just kind of weird. It really sticks out.
He has like a bodysuit, and then he has like a Speedo over the bodysuit.
That's what it looks like. I don't know. It's not bad. It's just I've been on the X-Men 97.
We're tearing it apart now. So now that you pointed out, I'm like, whoa, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking on Legends, we've got a new Carnage, which I don't know if this is a new Carnage or just a reissue of a Carnage.
Yeah. It looks like the reissue of that from that Carnage line. I'm not too crazy about the head sculpt. Like I'm not a fan of the I don't know what that, like the embossed lines. They're so like chaotic.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like the packaging. It's the retro packaging, but the head sculpt, I'm not crazy about it. It doesn't, like, from the picture, and on the figure, it's giving me two different looks.
Yeah. No, I
Like
see what you
that
mean.
head sculpt reminds me more something out of the comics and like the earlier comic Carnage stuff versus like when he first was introduced. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't
And
pick it up because the pre-order sold out super quick. So
the webbing too, like the kind of symbiote
yeah,
webbing is
yeah,
raised, which I don't
yeah,
know if I really like that or not. I
yeah.
guess that makes sense, but it's just a little different. And to your point, I'm not a huge fan of that head sculpt either.
Yeah. I like the Mafex version. And I think I have
Yeah.
like their previous Marvel Legends one from the Venom Pool wave. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on. More Legends. We got this Astonishing X-Men Marvel Legends Wolverine. This is kind of sold out every place except for, I think, BBTS. Has that diaphragm joint again.
Yeah, it looks
I
really
think we
good.
talked about this briefly, but this looks great. I
Yeah.
really do like this a lot. The head sculpt, everything. And the Superior Spider-Man, which I know we've talked about this on the live, but
Yep.
this is
I picked
also
that one
available
up.
on BBTS. I think it's sold out everywhere else now, including Entertainment Earth. I think it's sold out there now. So if you guys want this, I wouldn't wait too much longer because I don't know how much longer it's going to last on BBTS.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I talked about that strange stuff before. Third-party figures. There's this not Usagi Yojimbo, Mr. Rabbit Man, Sword Hero, following in the
Could be the
Fury.
White Rabbit from
Yeah.
Alice in
Oh, there
Wonderland.
you go.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Okay. See, Prime needs to work for these places. This is how you save yourself.
Yeah.
Being,
This is the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. I have no idea who this Usagi Yojimbo is.
Usagi. Oh, okay. Interesting.
No. Wasabi. Okay.
I do like how he's kind of like the samurai style.
Yeah. All the different masks are very cool.
All the different masks are really cool.
Man.
Kind of falls in
Very
line
tempting.
with, those turtles we've been talking about, the Fury or now Rage or whatever the hell they call themselves now. I don't know. I can't keep track, but I think it would fit nicely with those, kind of along the same theme. We talked about that. There's a new Silver Surfer, I guess. I don't know if this is new. He looks
shinier.
Yeah,
it's not the Walgreens exclusive, even though it looks a lot like the Walgreens exclusive.
It looks like the Walgreens.
Definitely not the Walgreens exclusive Silver Surfer.
And it's not pinless either.
Ugh.
Which for Silver Surfer kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Like
yeah.
He needs to be seamless.
Yeah.
What else? We'll do one more, and then we'll move into. Oh no, you know what? These are all old. I think I've talked about these. So that's all the pre-orders for now. I'm sure we'll have more on the next live. But now we will go into our plastic confessions. What do you have?
Well, I teased this one because it was my replacement. That's one. Then the other one was, I opened them up already, was Crimson Dynamo, which I thought he was going to be bigger because I have Titanium Man. And Titanium Man towers over this guy. Like, I should do like a comparison, but he's really cool. I thought he was going to be more red. He comes across really red. I don't know, on my screen looks really, but he's more of a copper. He's not really that red. He's kind of like a copper bronze color. But he comes off really red I'm seeing it on the video on the camera. That's like really red, but he's actually copper. So that was kind of like interesting. Then I got the Mezco recovery suit soup. Super hyped to pick up that.
Nice.
Open them up.
I've been seeing a lot of people swapping the mullet head for.
Yeah, I'm excited for the different head sculpts. And then Hank Pym and Janet 2-pack.
Talk about a quick turnaround on that.
Oh,
holy crap!
I'm so excited. He looks really cool. The head sculpts on here look killer. So I can't
colors look great. Really bright colors.
Yeah. The makeup application looks really cool. All his little accessories.
Yeah. I like it a lot. It looks great.
And then the last one is I finally came across.
Oh, nice.
Jack Kirby.
I've not found Kirby yet.
Yeah. So he was he was the last one on the peg, so I had to scoop him up, put him up with my Spidey. Yeah, and then that was it.
Yeah, Casey, God, his name is, what is his name?
Which, Warrior Evans?
Yes. Warrior Evans, that's it. Thank you. I just had a brain fart. He did an awesome
That
job
happens.
with that Kirby figure, like kind of doing a
Yeah,
throwback of Kirby, drawing comics while also having the comic characters next to him.
yeah,
That's really cool. Sorry, Casey Warrior Evans. That's it. Gosh, brain farts. I'm getting old.
yeah. I got
Um,
you there. Well, that's the only
yeah,
Casey I know.
yeah. He's the one everybody knows. All right, so I've been on it like I just was talking about X-Men '97 kick. I got Jean Grey.
Oh, got the Jean. I've been
I do.
seeing that a lot of people put her head sculpt on the Mafex one,
Oh yeah, I have the
right?
Mafex actually, but I've never opened it. So
See,
I was
now you have two
telling
Jeans.
myself, like, should I get rid of the Mafex and just keep this one? If you've watched the show, I do like how, if you noticed in the show when they swap between these two,
Yeah,
once it was revealed that this was Goblin Queen, sorry,
yeah,
spoilers,
yeah.
the the intro changed to this head sculpt.
Oh, really? I didn't notice that.
Yeah, for the first two episodes, it's the long hair,
Uh huh.
and then once it's revealed that that's not really the real Jean, it swaps to the
Ponytail.
ponytail.
Oh,
Just little
you
tiny
know,
little things.
the minute it's ponytail, you know it's serious business. That's when she means business.
Yeah,
Ponytail.
that's when she's
It's
like
yeah,
real
ready
Jean.
to kick some
Yeah.
ass. Yeah.
Speaking of, man, that show is amazing.
Whew,
I'm loving that show so much.
man.
Uh, Staying on the turtles, like I need more turtles. Like I need another hole in the head.
Oh,
But
you found it.
I found it. Yes, the Samurai Adventure of Michelangelo and Space Donatello. I was going after Kirby and this. Didn't find Kirby, but I did find this. So pretty excited about it. I just like the uniqueness of this set,
Yeah.
as well as it being designed by, which might not even show up. One of the designers is
Oh, there it is.
Jason.
Yeah. Jason
Yeah,
Yang.
who, if you guys know, is
Sounds
worth more or
familiar.
less.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so that's really cool. He designed the figures.
That's
I think that's a really
dream
cool
come
thing
true.
somebody from the toy community be at this level of the game.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show my support. Not only that, but I just think this is a really cool set, very unique. So I like that. But that's all I got for now.
You know, I saw somebody do a really cool shot. I mean, you have to get 4 of them, but the 4 turtles in the spacesuits.
Yes. Yeah. Have we featured him before? Rad Toyologist? I think we have.
Oh, I think yeah. Oh, it was Rat Toiletist that did it.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was like, damn it! Now I want this set.
Yeah. It was a crazy picture. I think I DM'd him and I was like, dude, did you really army build that set? Because why don't you give me one of them? Good shot.
Yeah, that I freaking love that picture. That's such an
Yeah,
awesome.
it came out so good. The crazy thing is that this is only one of those figures. He just put the head on different
Oh,
and then
okay. And
composited
then
it all together in
look
Photoshop.
at that, making me go out and buy 4 of them. Oh,
Yeah, so here's the BTS
okay.
too.
Using one neck astronaut body. Ah,
Yeah,
sneaky, sneaky.
very sneaky.
Yeah,
More skill than what I've got with
yeah,
Photoshop,
yeah.
but a really cool idea. Yeah, so shout out to you,
That's
Ranta.
so
I'm
cool.
pretty sure we feature you on the page. He's not our figure aficionado for the week, but if you're not following him, you're really missing out. 'Cause I love his
Yeah,
turtles.
he does some cool stuff.
Yeah, this one he just posted recently of kind of a recreation using the punk turtles. Very cool. Speaking of Nasty Nate's dirty trick for the week, kind of trying to be a bit more creative. I think the last one was using that matte spray. This one's more of like ideas for shots, and for me, inspiration's kind of been a bit of a struggle, I guess, a little bit lately.
Mhm.
So I've been turning to memes for inspiration. So if you guys can't find anything, maybe look at some memes. How can I recreate this in figure form? Because memes are always instantly recognizable with people, and I think that's part of
For sure.
what you want for your toy shots. If you can't think of something original, think of something that people are going to recognize. Be like, oh yeah, I know what this is.
Yeah.
This is my rendition of that. Or something that's like kind of being talked about a lot. Like something in the figure community or some episode from X-Men 97, which I
Mhm.
won't mention because it's a little spoilery, but one that just recently happened. That would be a cool idea for a shot with Rogue and this other character.
Yeah.
Uh, So that kind of stuff. Like if you can't find inspiration, just look around like what's popular, what's a meme that you thought was really funny. Maybe try to recreate that. I feel like comedy goes really far in toy photography.
Oh yeah.
So it's something I've been trying to focus a little bit more on. So if you guys are having inspirational problems, look at a comic cover, look at a meme, look at something that you've recognized, and you're like, yeah, that's something that somebody might recognize. And then throw that into
Yep.
your shot too. Like, take a picture of that meme or something and put it as one of the slides of your shot. So even if somebody doesn't know what you're talking about, you can use that as a reference. Like, oh, I see where they got it from. That's a
Yeah.
cool recreation. So a little bit more of a simple trick. But I've been doing tricks now for a while, so I've got to be more familiar
All
with
tricked
that.
out.
Yeah, I'm getting tricked out here. Last but certainly not least, and you guys, man, if you have anyone that you want to, promote for Figure Aficionado, don't be afraid to tell me. I'm trying to go out of the box here and feature more people maybe that I haven't featured in the past. This is one of those guys. Actually, just did a shot earlier today that I really appreciated, really enjoyed, commented on it, and then sure enough, I guess Mezco saw it too, and they decided to feature it.
Oh,
Burke,
nice.
Burkhead Toys. Um, Adam, he's you probably have seen his work before. He posts a lot in toy photography, but he just did this shot of Nosferatu, which I thought was so creative,
Yep.
so cool. And it's a forced perspective because the way he did this is just by cutting a keyhole into the foam, getting some light
That's so
behind
cool.
there, and then putting Nosferatu's face, doing a close up.
That is so
And
cool.
you can see he tried a bunch of different sizes,
Yeah.
and finally found one that fit well. But the end result turned out great. I mean, this looks awesome.
Man, that's killer.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Really came out good. So, yeah, man, I'm glad you got the recognition for this one because I really think you deserved it. But he does a lot of other great shots as well. He's always doing a bunch of different stuff. Isn't really afraid to change up the mediums. This cool one with Boba Fett looking at Han
That's
Solo.
so cool.
That's
Yeah.
a really great idea, kind of a crazy way. And he shows you how he does it too. Like he does multiple exposure for this one, but always showing you guys behind the scenes. So go check him out. If you haven't followed him already, make sure to give him a follow. Does some really great work. I love this Mario one, getting a Goomba out of the toilet. Um, so yeah, go give Adam, why did I say Michael, a follow, please. Burkhead Toys. And sadly, that has come to the end of our show. But we went a little over this
Made
time.
it.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
nice. Hope you guys
Nice.
enjoyed the conversation. Like I've said before, make sure you hit the like button. It's a simple
Mhm.
gesture. It goes a long way to me in Prime. It shows that you appreciate the content and you want more of it. Put a comment below for some things that we talked about. If you want to see another Figure Aficionado, let us know. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Figure Booth so you don't miss out on new episodes or when we go live. Probably doing another live here pretty soon.
Yep.
And yeah, anything else you want to say, Prime, before we end it?
Nope, that's it. And keep the suggestions coming because I read a couple good comments. And we take those into future considerations for future topics, future shows. So yeah, always love and appreciate the feedback, the shares, the repost. You guys can keep up with me all under Prime to the First on Instagram, Facebook, and now I've been getting a little bit more active on TikTok as well. So some behind the scenes stuff and things like that. So a lot of unboxing stuff, some fun stuff, just switching it up. So yeah.
Yeah, Prime's leveling up. I've been liking your TikTok content. But yeah, go check him out. You guys can find me at figurefan_Nate. I'm not nearly as active on TikTok, but I am on there. So if you want to follow me, you can. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, we'll see you guys later.
Peace.